Solving multi-step equations. So we start out with our first example. We have 2 times x plus 3 minus 5 should equal, or does equal, 3 times our negative x plus 1. So we want to solve for x in this equation. Our first step is going to be to simplify both sides of our equation. So I'm going to start by splitting our equation so it's obvious where my two sides are. We always split down the equal sign. We use that equal sign to cut our equation in half. All right, so let's look at the left side. What can I do to simplify this? I see that I have a set of parentheses and a 2 out in front. So I can distribute this 2 to both the x term and to the 3. And when I distribute that, we get 2x plus 6, and then bring down our minus 5, and that should equal the right side of our equation. Now the right side of our equation is still 3 times our negative x plus 1, so I can distribute that 3 term, 3 times our negative x, and 3 times our positive 1. And that is going to give us our negative 3x plus 3. So remember, our goal is to simplify each side of our equation, and now I can look at the left side and I recognize that this plus 6 and this minus 5, those are like terms I can combine together. So the left side of my equation is now going to simplify down to 2x, and then plus 6 minus 5 just gives me plus 1. And that should equal. And then I look at the right side and I recognize that I have a variable term and a constant term. Those are not like terms, so I cannot combine them together. So I'm just going to bring them down at this point. So now we've simplified both sides of our equation. That was step 1. Step 2 is we want to move all of our variable terms to one side of the equation and our constant terms to the other side of the equation. So I see that I have a minus, this negative 3x right here is a variable, and this 2x is a variable term. So let's move them both to the left side, and it's your decision. You can move them either direction. But I'm going to add 3x. We're performing the inverse operation. We're adding 3x to both sides of the equation. And 2x plus 3x gives us 5x. We still have our plus 1, and that should equal. This negative 3x plus 3x cancels to 0, and then all we're left with is our 3. So we moved our variable terms over. Now we can move our constant term. Since I moved my variable to the left side of the equation, it makes sense to move our constant term to the right side. And remember, anytime you cross the blue line, you have to do the inverse operation. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides of this equation. And when I do that, I end up with 5x plus 1 minus 1 cancels to 0 equals 3 minus 1 gives us 2. So all that right there was step 2. We were just moving our variable terms to one side and our constant terms to the other side. And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and subtract 1 in the exact same step where we added 3x. But especially when we're starting out, a lot of people like to break that step up into 2 parts. So our last step is to solve for x. We've got 5x equals 2. How do we get just x? Well, let's perform our inverse operation. Divide both sides of our equation by 5, and that gives us 1x, or x, equals 2/5. That was just step 3 of our equation right here, or step 3 of solving. All right, let's do it again. This time we had to throw in a fraction, of course. Negative 3 minus our 2x plus 5 should equal 1/3 times 6 minus 12x plus 12. So our first step, what is our first step? It's always simplify both sides of your equation. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my blue line that separates my equation into its two sides. Now, what can I do to simplify the left side? Well, I see that I have parentheses that I need to get rid of. I am subtracting both my 2x and I am subtracting my positive 5. So this means I need to bring down my negative 3, and then I am going to subtract 2x, and I am also going to subtract 5. I'm subtracting everything in the parentheses, and that should equal. And now I have another value that I can distribute. The right side of my equation also has its own set of parentheses and its constant that needs to be distributed. So let's distribute 1/3 times 6. When you multiply 1/3 times 6, you get 2. And then we have 1/3 times our minus 12x. 1/3 times our minus 12x gives us a minus 4x. And if you don't remember how to multiply fractions, I would encourage you to go and find the video that I have uploaded on multiplying fractions. And then we just bring our plus 12 down. So we've gotten rid of our parentheses. What can I do to simplify the left side even more? Well, this time I see that I do have a minus 3 and a minus 5 right here. What is negative 3 minus 5? That's going to give us a negative 8. And I can bring down my variable term of minus 2x is going to equal. And now the right side of my equation also has two constant terms. I have this 2 here and our plus 12. So 2 plus 12 is going to give us 14, and we have our minus 4x. So that was all step 1. We simplified both sides of our equation as much as we possibly could. What was step 2? Step 2 is just move all of our variable terms to one side and our constant terms to the other side. So let's do that. So I have negative 8 minus 2x equals 14 minus 4x. So I am going to add 4x to both sides of my equation. And I want to make sure that I line up my like terms. So I put my plus 4x underneath my minus 2x. So I bring down this minus 8, and then minus 2x plus 4x is going to give us a plus 2x. And that should equal 14. Our minus 4x plus 4x cancels to 0. So I moved my variable term. Now let's move our constant term. So this plus 8, or this minus 8 needs to turn into a plus 8. We'll add 8 to both sides of our equation. Minus 8 plus 8 cancels to 0, and we have 2x equals 14 plus 8 gives us 22. So that was the second step in solving. And then our last step, of course, is to just solve for our x variable. So I'll divide both sides of our equation by 2. And that gives us 1x, or x, equals 11. And there is our answer. Now, if you need those steps broken down even further, that was step 3, there's a mnemonic device that I did not make up myself, but this is how it goes. Don't call me after midnight, or you could say something like, don't call movers after midnight. We have 2 M values, so I was like, well, let me say the word movers instead of me, but whatever you need to remember is fine. Your first step, the D, is for distribute, to remove your parentheses. You are going to combine like terms on each side of your equation. Then you want to move your variable terms to one side of the equation. Then you want to do any addition or subtraction to both sides, and then you want to multiply and divide. Either way, if you need more broken down steps, here you go, or you can just use the steps that we did on the front.